Should be going live. Just waiting for this to happen. Initialization, waiting to go live. If you are here, and just want to make sure that we are live. So if you're here, drop a comment down below. Tim S said, hey, that said 9 hours. Looking forward to the meetup today. Hey, Timmy S. Hopefully I am live. Let me just check. If you're here, drop me a comment down below. Let me know you're live. Obviously, you can ask me any questions. I will answer them. But I just want to see, are we actually live? Yeah, it says upcoming. Cool, I'm live. Woohoo! So if you're here, let me know. Drop some comments, questions down below. Obviously, I'm here to help you out with your business. I did a little bit of an update today on my kind of like things that we've learned and what we've done. Just want to make sure I'm live in the Facebook group as well. If anyone's messaged me, by the way, I'm really sorry. Like it's been a very, very busy day. So hope this works. So I think we're live. Drop your questions down below. Fantastic, love it. Right, so sorting my hair out. So if you are here, do let me know. So Timmy S says, looking forward to meet up today. Hey, Timmy S. Timmy S, first time here, coming to see what's going on. I hope all good. So obviously do let me know if you've got questions. Ravi said, hey, Ravi, hi. Ravi, good to see you. Let me know if you've got questions down below. And then obviously I will drop this down here. Thomas said, hi. So drop your questions down below. So if I can give you a little bit of an update on what did we talk about today? Oh my God. So, a couple of simple things within my business talked about it is like learning from your mistakes and trying to improve it. Like, I think we get so caught up within our businesses, just trying to do lots of things that we're not like implementing good systems, which are going to really help you out, which I think is so important. So in my business, like, what does that look like? Obviously we have measurables and then we're trying to refine those measurables. If I kind of give it a relative specifics, one of our items that we purchase is a fashion item, or like category that we work in. It's a fashion item, very niche fashion item. And what we've identified is that certain items have a higher, like within that kind of like area, certain sizes have a higher return rate than others. Not too sure why, but we just see it. So we're like, we should probably be, when we do our reordering and our purchasing, we just be a bit more careful on those certain items. So again, like we're just refining that ordering process. So like these colors we're going to be careful of, and because they have a higher return rate than other colors. So and like, again, learning from mistakes, but also as well, on the other side, when you know that the colors are pretty good, you're like, wow, we can just buy deeper. That's going to be so important. So it's something we're looking at. Ravi has kind of jumped in and says, do you use IP Alert? We do. We've got IP Alert. We also have Fast Track FBA brand checker as well. We kind of check them all, if that makes sense, but we know the brands that we like to source and we know which works. I'll kind of like share a top tip with you. I actually recorded a video over the weekend in regards to like how to approach our top 100 supplier list. And I'll go through it here as well. But at a fundamental level, what we're looking to do is to source certain brands. Why? Well, because if you know the brands which you can sell, that's great. But also if you know the brands that you can't sell, that obviously means that you're not going to waste your time looking at them. If you keep opening up a brand, it says gated, and you're like, well, I can't sell it, then it's like, why are you checking the brand on the supplier in the first place? You should probably just remove them. So knowing the brands which work is going to be so important. But on the inverse is like knowing the brands which you want to sell is really important. And that is brands that are working for you, brands that have generally no Amazon on them. That's a really important metric. And then the other one is generally brands with IP alerts or like, IP issues. So on the video, which I'll release probably next week, is we talk very much around having a list of brands which work for you, which are you can sell. They have generally no Amazon and the brand on the listing, and they have no IP complaints. So again, IP Alert will really help you with that. But once you've kind of figured out those brands, all you're doing is just constantly checking for those brands, and it makes your life so much easier. So things like IP Alert are good, but they're not as needed as perhaps you think. So that's my kind of thoughts. Hope that helps sense, Ravi. Guys, if you've got questions, drop them down below. Obviously, I am here. I am listening as well. So buy box strategy for new sellers. Will I be better off taking a very smaller cut to get my first 100 sales to build up the trust with Amazon? You can do. I don't like, let me put it this way. I don't really know what Amazon never clearly define what they're looking for in regards to new sellers and the way that needs to look. Like what does trust mean for Amazon, I think is the question. So you can definitely get some sales, but I would probably say like I wouldn't go and start making 100 sales at like break even just to try and build up some sort of trust. It's not worth it. Still focus on profitability. Like, the question might be like, if I'm normally doing 35% ROI and I'm going to drop it down to a 33, then I'd be like, yeah, fine, no problem. But I definitely wouldn't be going from like a 28% ROI down to a 5% just to try and get some sales, like not in a million years, because it's not worth it. You're here to make money. Yes, you want to get some like trust, but you definitely don't want to be like not making money. That's the important point. Like, it's going to take time. You're going to probably get the odd, if you did 100 sales, we run it, I think right now, last week was about an 8% return rate. So that means 8 of my items will be returned, which will probably mean like cost and damages. So I definitely don't want to be like taking a smaller cut. I've got to be covering that cost as well. So that would be my thoughts on there. Ravi, let me know if that helps you out, and that's going to be helpful for you. So let's kind of have a quick look through Ray. Hey, Ray, how are you? 1 second. Okay, so he said, Ray's asked, how should I basically get orders through for online arbitrage without them being cancelled? And I think it's a great question. First things first, only a few suppliers actually don't like resellers. And that's probably because they have an agreement with the manufacturers whereby they have to limit people who are bulk buying. Generally, all suppliers want to sell and make money. So that's number one. Number two is the fact that I would personally, for those suppliers, try and figure out ways to get around initially. This could be different credit cards, different shipping address, different email addresses, breaking your orders up from ordering 100 down to 10s, for example. Maybe even getting on the phone, asking the question, and especially if you're abroad like me, using a VPN is so helpful. Now, I would go through all of that initially, and if I can't still get an order through, even if it's a small order of 5, then I'd probably just remove the supplier and never source them again. We have a supplier in the UK called Boots who, they'll still cancel you on 1s and 2s, which is super annoying. But if you understand that the supplier, maybe when you try and order 100, they'll cancel, but they'll let you order 10, then another 10, then another 10, then another 10, that might be like, okay, you're okay with that, it works. So they might have some limits, but they might not be that restrictive. But if we talk about like Boots in the UK, they are super restrictive. And even if you try and order one, once you've had an order cancelled or a couple of orders cancelled, once you try and order 1 unit, they'll cancel that as well. So my advice for you is, first step, most resellers, most suppliers are generally not anti-resellers. It's fine. Number 2, try everything you can do. Get on the call, speak to them, ask them why, and then see if you can get orders through. Even the ones which say we don't allow selling to resellers, a lot of times you can just get orders through. They don't really care. They're like, yeah, we don't allow resellers, but it works. And then the final one is, if you can't do it, just add them to a block list and stop sourcing to them. Stop wasting your time and move on to people who do really want to, should we say, use or spend your money. That's going to be so important. Ray, let me know down below if that's helpful, and that's like going to help you out in your business and guide you, and it helped you kind of understand that. So Ravi said, struggling to win the buy box on some items, and I have the lowest price. So Ravi, it might be like 2 things: lowest price. Also looking at your shipping times. You might be doing FBA, but it might be that your stock hasn't actually checked in properly yet. If I kind of explain to you, when you ship stuff into Amazon, Amazon might check it in, but your problem comes is the fact that Amazon will then ship it to another distribution warehouse within Amazon's fulfillment network, and while it's moving around, it's still technically on sale, but the delivery day will be different from someone else's stock who is sat in the FBA warehouse is not moving. And because of this difference in delivery day, even if you are the lowest price, you won't win the buy box. So check your delivery dates versus everyone else. In my own business, how do we deal with this? Anything which is on back order, i.e. it's not available to order right now, we literally put the price to maximum. Our Repricer will do that, and it's a rule we have set, because we're just not interested. I don't want to be competing against someone when you can't even buy my products, and even if I match their price, Amazon still wouldn't give you the buy box, and what you'll likely find is that they'll actually undercut you. So top tip for you is check if you're not winning the buy box, my advice for you is check that not only you're matching the lowest price, but also number 2, your delivery times are exactly the same. It's probably because your items are on back order, and the way we deal with that is by turning on, should we say, the max price for all back ordered items in our Repricer. That just means that we hold our price high until it's ready to actually sell, and then we'll compete. let's kind of go through. Ray said, thank you. Hey, Ray, glad I could help you out. I'm here most weeks, unless I'm traveling. Elliot says, hi, Tom. I'm trying to order more volumes of the units at the moment. So, yeah, so if you want to order more stock from a supplier and you're worried about cancellations or you're getting cancellations, again, my top tip for you is just try and get the orders through as easy as possible. Now, this can be one big order, generally going to get cancelled. My advice would be to give them a call and find out. Even if they say we don't allow resellers, still try and break the order up into like 10 one day, wait for the shipping confirmation, do the next 10 shipping confirmation, next 10 do the shipping confirmation. Maybe even go down to 5 and 3. Now, do that. You can try alternative email addresses. That might work. It might be different accounts. And if you can figure out how to make this work, that's going to be so helpful. But at the end of the day, if you can't get the orders through, stop wasting your time sourcing deals on suppliers who do not want to take your money. It's just wasting your life. So I hope that helps. Right. Got to do that one. So Ravi said, thanks. I will double check the delivery dates. Cool. I'm not sure about delivery. Oh, yeah. Shipping dates. Like, basically, it's kind of like, yeah, when it will be delivered. Absolutely fine. I think that's really, really good. Is it okay to ask a question about the USS? Yeah, sure. You can ask anything. It doesn't mean I'll definitely be able to answer it, but I will try. I hope that makes sense. Hey, Elliot, which UK suppliers did you find you could keep ordering from? A new Sports Direct and so in the UK, we used to order a lot of stock, and in particular, like Sports Direct would allow us to order so much to the point that we probably had like 5 pallets of stock turning up at one time. I think we ordered like 2,000 footballs at one go. So definitely like Sports Direct was a really big, and probably still is, a really big opportunity to buy on bulk, which is really great for those fast-selling items, basically like a wholesaler. Ocado as well, but they technically don't sell to resellers, so if you go too crazy, they will shut you down, or like they don't sell to business, should we say, although they do have a business account, if that makes sense. I would also recommend checking out my top 100 supplier list, and if you put a comment like down below, a top 100, UK, then what I'll do is I'll send you a copy of that so you can have a look down below. But that top 100 supplier list was all the top 100 suppliers we found the best deals from. So I hope that makes sense. Let's kind of go through. Blaine. So Blaine said, the specific questions for selling on Amazon USA as a non-US citizen. Welcome to my life. Do you still need an SSN, driver's license, bills, registration, or Amazon does EI? So EIN suffices. EIN is obviously employer identification number, so that would be a document, which is fine. By the way, like, I am a non-US resident. I live in Mexico right now. I have no SSN. I have an ITIN. I have no driver's license and no bills for registration. So any other specific information needed. So let me put it through. If you're looking to sell on Amazon USA as a if you are looking to sell on Amazon USA as a non-resident, for example, I'm the UK citizen and I don't live in the US, the way we did it was created a corporation within the US, and an LLC, should we say, and through that we got our EIN number, and that allowed us to create bank accounts and obviously have an office there as well. And using this virtual office and using this information, we were able to open an Amazon seller account, and we've done like 1.5 million last year in that sales. The one thing which I will just add is there is the Getting Started on Amazon USA course for $97, which we created, which documents everything that I did step by step, and even talks how about we get credit cards as non-US residents. So check out the Fast Track FBA website for that. But if you have like a family living in the UK who want to sell in the US, like the same as me, it's not a problem. So Blaine, I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I think like your EIN will be fine. Like that's absolutely fine. There's no problem there. So yeah, I think that's going to be good. Let's have a quick look here. Facebook user. So I've started to monitor my profit per VA. My profit is £500, difference from VAPs compared to Seller Toolkit. Any idea why this is? So what's really interesting, so first things first, you're using the, so you've answered, so Seller Toolkit, first things first, Seller Toolkit will always be more correct than the USS. And the reason for this is the fact that Seller Toolkit pulls the data live from Amazon through an API connection. When we do it on the USS, we're kind of using estimated figures, based on not so much estimated figures, we're using just the buy price minus the sell price minus the fees, and we bring that information in, but we reconstruct it within the USS whereas it's a spreadsheet. It's never going to be as good as software because software can update for all the tweaks. So if you really want to get it picture perfect, the seller toolkit would be like perfect, but the USS gives you a very good guide. Now, my advice for you would be, if you do find a problem, go like you can look at like kind of like what does the USS say and what does the seller toolkit say. Look at them line by line, and then spot the ones where it's like that's out, that's out. You can ask us, but like we generally don't, unless it's something like specifically wrong, or if you're selling in a really weird niche where like Amazon has a lot of very interesting functional things. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if you are selling in Amazon and you are selling, I think like electronics, high value electronics has an extra fee over £100, which for us to compute on an Excel spreadsheet would probably need another like 500 rows of formula, which would just slow it down even more. So it's still never going to be perfect because there's so many little variations. Oh, there we go. I think my screen dropped off. Oh, so I think that kind of helps. So let me know if that kind of answers your questions. But there are limitations of what we can do within a spreadsheet versus what you can do in software. Let's kind of go through. So Bruce says, thanks for your help, not a problem. Fine, so here we go. Bruce says, how much capital did you start with Amazon, if you don't mind me asking when you started? So great question. So when we started in Amazon UK, I think it was like £5,000 to £10,000. And the reason is I had a business before, and I say £5,000 to £10,000 because capital is technically defined as credit cards as well. So it's access to capital, not physical cash. And we already had like a business before, which I closed down, which I had access to capital through. Now, when we started in the USA, my initial investment was 10,000, but we quickly ramped that up to 30,000. And I do say this to people that if you are looking to start within the USA as a non-resident, that's myself, then I'd strongly, strongly recommend at least $10,000, if not 30,000. And if I explain why, the accountancy fees in the USA alone for us right now are $1,000 per month. And this is for an Amazon specific accountant, but that's pretty much the lowest we could find. So if you're starting with $10,000 and you're paying $1,000 out just for an accountant, all of a sudden you're going to run out of cash very quickly. So hence why we say like starting with more money than less is actually generally a good thing, especially when you're reselling. That's going to be really advantageous. Now, the one thing that I will kind of add to that is the fact that I added in, I put in like, I had so many staff. Like when we started doing Amazon USA, I started with 10,000 and we grew it to 30,000 very, very quickly. But my vision behind starting on Amazon USA was that I was never going to be doing the work. I was doing 2 hours a week. I had 3 sources. And within 5 months, I think it was actually 3 months, we'd promoted one up to purchasing manager. And I'd already had someone doing that purchasing for me. And so by 5 months, I completely stepped out. I had 3 sourcing VAs, 1 purchasing manager, 1 admin VA. So it means I now became working on the business rather than in it. We later grew that business to over $1 million, but I couldn't have done that without a lot of access to capital, and that is cash and credit cards, and even like personal debt from my side, moving that into the USA, which just allowed us to start scaling. So again, my advice, if you're a non-US resident starting in the USA, more cash is better, generally speaking. So cool. Elliot, let me know if that answers your question down below. I'm kind of like doing set answers. Ravi, is it okay to use Amazon Repricer? Just trying to keep my costs down at the moment. Okay. Amazon Repricer. If you're thinking about using Amazon Repricer, I'm not a big fan. Why? Generally, it goes down, not up. So if the price of the competition is at $20 or £20, and you're running at 18, it's not going to go back up again. And you're going to lose those $2. Number two, they have an interesting function on Amazon Repricer, which is basically competing against sellers off Amazon, i.e. Walmart, for example, or Argos in the UK. So again, I'm just not really a big fan of it. Like, I don't think Amazon have our vested interests in their repricing strategy. So I would really recommend using a third-party one. And we have 3 repricers we recommend. Number 1, we use Be Cool to start with for all new beginners. It's about $25 per month. It's nothing, you should use it. Number 2, SDK. With the P&L software, it's about $50 per month, I think it is. And then finally, number 3, the top end, which is the one we actually use, is called Seller Snap, and it's about $500 per month. So I would just recommend Be Cool once you've got like 10 SKUs. And by the way, there is a video I recorded which is called 3 months of free Repricer. You can basically daisy chain across different Repricers for 3 months and just use them. If you want to do that, you can. But I think, that's one answer. But anything below 10 SKUs, you can do yourself. Anything above that, you should probably look at doing a Repricer, because prices are changing every 15 minutes and you're probably going to be missing out on so many sales. And even where you've got that $2 difference in the price between you and the competitor, just by shifting up, that means you're going to make more money, which will easily cover the cost of a $25 per month Repricer. Hope that helps. So, Ravi, let me know if that answers your question down below. I don't know if you go from there. So, Alexandru. Hey, Alexandru. Hey, Alex. Hey, Alex here. Oh, I started my journey with Amazon FBA Wholesale UK. How can I manage better cash flow as I'm reinvesting the same product for the past 3 months and it's selling faster than I can buy? Okay, good question. So if you want to know about cash flow, my top tip for you, and I will just say this in general for cash flow. Number 1, go to the Fast Track FBA YouTube channel. Number 2, type in cash flow videos, and I've got like 4 videos, and they all talk about cash flow. There's a spreadsheet we have on there. It does cost. You have to buy it. It's about $40, but it's the one spreadsheet that I've used throughout all my businesses. We've done 4 million in sales in it. Everyone else uses it. Lots of people use the spreadsheet. It's actually a really good spreadsheet. It helps you manage your inflows and outflows of money over the next 4 weeks, and it helps with credit cards, even wholesale to supplier terms. That's going to really help you out in just managing cash flow, paying bills on time, and understanding every single day, seeing money coming in and going out. And it even gives you an allowance to spend every single week so that you meet your repayments in the subsequent weeks thereafter. So that's really important. Now, the second step, which I will answer in regards to specifically, Alex, to your question, is managing cash flow. So there's 2 parts to this. One is the fact that you ideally want to balance the amount of money coming in versus the number of deals you've got spending. And ideally, you probably want a few more deals than cash available. You generally don't want a lot of cash available and no deals to buy. That's a bad position. You want more deals and cash you've got available. So if that's it now, you're in a good place. Number 2, if you're not, like, I've got so many more deals and cash available, or should we say, I've got so many more deals and cash available, you probably want to maybe reduce your pricing on your deals so that you can sell them faster. You're going to make less profit per item, but you can buy and sell quicker. So that means you're going to churn your money. For example, if you're going to go from like a 20% ROI down to a 15, but at 20% you sell once every 2 months, or once every month, whereas 15 you can sell once every week, there's going to be a very big difference. So you're dropping 5% to increase your velocity of time. Now, the one thing I would say about velocity of time, and I talked about it like 1 month down to 1 week, is it isn't that simple. You have time from the moment you spend the pound or the dollar in shipping it to Amazon and getting it on sale. Within my business, we generally talk about 1 week in the UK and 2 weeks in the US. And then also you have 14 days for the money to come back again. So once they've sold the product, you've got to wait 14 days for Amazon to give you the money back into your bank account. This takes time. Now, you've got to calculate that in when you do your kind of ROI calculations, the time on it. So important. Now, my top tip for you, and specifically coming back to you, Alexandru, is 1, speak to your suppliers, see if you can negotiate credit terms. That's going to be really helpful. Number 2 is the fact that if you are selling them faster than you can buy them, increase your price and slow down your sales so that you don't sell so quickly, but increase your profitability. So if you are competing against someone who has a very similar price to you, then it might be the case that you just want to sit above them 1, 2, 3p higher. You're going to slow down your sales. And I say 1, 2, 3p, you might actually look at like 20p, 50p. You're going to get slightly more better profits, but you're going to slow down your rate of sales. And as a result, you're going to be able to manage cash flow. Going in and out of stock is a bit annoying. But I would speak to your wholesale supplier and see what kind of discount or even credit terms they can give you. 30, 60, 90-day credit terms. It could be really, really beneficial. Even look at things like credit cards to manage the cash flow on. That's going to be another option that's going to help you out. So I hope that makes sense, Alexandru. Let's go and jump through a Bing. Can you verify your Amazon account via email because it's usually via phone? So when you're verifying your Amazon account, I think they do it two ways. One, they're going to send you a letter in the post to make sure that your address is valid, and that's going to have a number in there, and you're going to have to enter that back in. I think, don't quote me. And then another one is they're going to ask you for a video call. So it isn't like when you say verify by phone, that's going to be the two-factor authentication. Of course, you still need to do that. They'll want that on all accounts. I think that's required now. But the second part is the video call, and that's a verification call, which is really, really simple. Show them your show them your passport, for example, and if you've got like a PDF bank statement, if you've uploaded that from being downloaded, they don't even need to see it because it's a digital copy. So they just ask to see copies. Very, very simple. That's it. But I don't think you can do it via email. Why? Because a lot of people are trying to scam Amazon, and this doesn't work. So I hope that answers your question. Right. Let's jump through. Alexandru, any advice on how to introduce new products? I'm not good at that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, like, here's how to do it. My advice for you, if I was going to you, go look at private label. And the reason is you're going to need to create listings, you're going to need to do listing optimization, you're going to need to do like PPC, you're going to need to like do all of that. And my advice would be like, I probably did 5 million in sales on Amazon last year in US dollars, and we didn't, and I've been selling for 7 years, and I've never created a listing in my life. So there is opportunity. So I hope this makes sense. A Bing says you have a spelling mistake on your YouTube banner. Where? Ask your questions below. Where? You got to show me. Tell me where. Hey, Bing. No. My God, shoot myself. Right. Blaine. Great. I understand. Thank you. No problem. Ravi says thanks. John. John Kyle. Is it possible to use eBay as a supplier? I read from some points that I had success in this. How do I go about doing that? Okay. If we're thinking about using eBay as a supplier for Amazon, general story is no. Don't do it. Why? Because everyone on eBay, the majority of sellers are going to be third-party sellers, and Amazon is going to, if Amazon ever asks for proof of supply chain authenticity, they will not accept eBay invoices. Now, the one kind of caveat to this is what we used to do, and I don't even know if it still works, is the fact that in the UK, you used to have a lot of big name brands like Argos, for example, who have outlet stores on eBay, and you could use them for product authenticity complaints, whereby they wanted to just prove supply chain. That used to work. I don't know if it does anymore, but generally, as a general rule of thumb, eBay is a big red no-no for suppliers to Amazon, because if they ever question your authenticity, that's a big problem. So I hope that answers your question. But like, we don't do it. It's too much risk. There's like Warren Buffett talks about it. Rule number 1 is don't lose money. Rule number 2 is always remember rule 1. And I kind of took that and changed it around and said, rule number 1, don't lose the Amazon account. And rule number 2 is remember rule number 1. So like, no matter how good the profit could be, if you're going to risk the Amazon account, you'll never make profit again. So my advice I always come to look at is like, don't risk the account. So I hope that makes sense, Carl. And we don't do it. Like, we've probably 4 years ago, I bought from eBay UK, but never in the US. Hope that helps. Hi, Tom. Carl, let me know if that answers your question down below. Pabaz, 1 second. Hi, Tom. When analyzing a lead, what key things give you the confidence to spend big on that lead? P.S. My name is pronounced Crabs with a P. Pabs. Cool. Thanks, Pabs. Okay, really, really good question. So let's put it this way. Okay, so if I'm analyzing a deal and the question is, how do I know when to go deeper? What are the kind of things that I'm considering? Well, obviously, the most important one straight away is listing sales. So if the more the listing is selling per month, the more deeper I'm likely to go. But the real question you want to kind of understand is like, what else am I looking at? So number 1, I'm going to be looking at buy box stability. If that's pretty stable over time, I'm really happy with that. Number 2, I'm also going to be making sure that the price has never gone below my break even. I don't want to be losing money, but I'm happy for the price to fluctuate so long as at no point in the past year I could have lost money. Number 3, I'm going to be looking at the new seller count. I want to make sure that's going up and down, but also as well, it isn't like going to the moon right now, it's going too much up. That's going to be a really big red flag and avoid it. And then number 4, the final thing that I'm really going to look into detail for is the amount of FBA stock on the listing. If the amount of FBA stock on the listing, and this is as a percent, as a multiple of the listing sales. So let's say, for example, it's selling 100 units per month, and the FBA and the total stock for all FBA sellers in stock right now is 300. Now that to me is going to be 3 months worth of stock, and I have a big line at 3 months. I do not buy that product. But if it's less than that, so 2 months is pretty okay. If it's 1 month, I'm loving this. So what I'm going to be looking at is that number of stock units on the listing, which is going to help me understand if I can go deeper. And if all of them look good and there's not much stock on the listing, I'll go pretty deep. But if there is a lot of stock on the listing, I probably won't. So that's my kind of answer for you. And I hope that kind of like answers it. But they're like the kind of 4 key metrics that I look at. And obviously then in addition to that, I would kind of do some more analysis around, do I believe the SaaS estimated sales per month is true? And I would even look at like Keeper data tab, and I'd go through each individual seller and look at their stock drops and say, do I feel that that reflects accurately? Especially if you're doing variation listings, I'd be well on top of that. Perhaps let me know if that helps. Alexandru, amazing. Thank you very much. Makes sense. Cool, not a problem. Text to mobile isn't it too? Eh? What's text to mobile? I don't understand. Lee, I don't really understand. I'm just going to do here, sorry. Is it okay when signing up using a Google Mail address? Yeah, like I've used a Google Mail address. Yeah, so I will come back up, don't worry. I'm just kind of reading through. I've not signed up yet, been selling for almost 20 years, only online, mostly both eBay and USA sites. I'm stuffed there and have a few invoices. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the really good question about, can I buy on eBay to resell on Amazon, even if I have the invoices? Your problem comes is the fact that if the customer ever complains about your product, or if Amazon ever wants to see what's known as the proof of supply chain, this is what they're trying to do, is to understand if the products you are selling you can trace them back to the manufacturer. Because if you can trace them back to the manufacturer, they're legit. If you can't, they're going to be fakes. And Amazon's position on it is the fact that you are guilty until you can prove going back to the manufacturer. Now, in OA, this is generally a problem, but if you can go back to big box retail stores or big box stores like Argos in the UK, Walmart in the US, you're generally fine. They have no problem. They don't believe that Walmart sell fake goods. And we've seen this where we've had product authenticity invoice requests for our products, and we provided Walmart. They've been fine with it. But your problem with eBay is the fact that the people you are buying from eBay aren't big known box stores. So Amazon doesn't believe them. So then you have to show where that person bought their products from. And that person isn't going to send you their invoices, so that you can't trace it back to the manufacturer. And as a result, you can't prove the products you're selling are legit. And as a result, they are now fake, and your account comes at risk. Regardless of the size of the order that you have or the invoices you have, if you can't prove it back to the manufacturer, you've got a big problem and your account will get shut down. So that's a big issue. So I hope that kind of helps out. There's a lot of like issues there, Lee. So I hope that helps out. I'm going to go A Bing. Hey Bing, hey, how are you? I meant when relogging in already verified. So where's it going? On your YouTube banner, you have a spelling mistake on your YouTube banner when logging in already verified. Hey Bing, I'm not really too sure what you mean. Sorry. The review guy. Hey Thomas, hey the review guy. The review guy. I just want to say that I just love you, man, and all your work for the community. Ah, thanks. You're the best. Let me know, what is it that I do? What can I do more of? Let me ask you that question. Like, obviously, I'm not an expert. By the way, everything I tell you, I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing my thoughts and my opinions and how we do things. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I just share it. So let me know what I do. Then obviously I can do more of it, if that makes sense. Ravi. Okay, Ravi said UK, but hey, review guy. Also, I'd just like to say review guy, and everyone listening and watching on the replay. I just want to say thank you very much for like joining and listening and asking comments. Otherwise, it's going to be little old Tom bouncing around online, just talking to himself, and no one wants that. That's like super boring. So, but yeah, thank you, review guy. Really good. Obviously, if you like this thing, give me a big thumbs up. Well, hey, right, let's go jump to Ravi. Hey, Ravi. UK wholesalers, the prices seem to be too high. I've been told that I need to be VAT registered so I can claim back the input VAT and adjust price accordingly. So, okay, this is a really good question. So if you want to go into UK wholesale and you're not VAT registered, you're going to really struggle. Generally, like, number one, opening up wholesalers, majority of them will probably want a VAT invoice. or that number, because it just shows that you're over a certain size, and that's 85,000 per year. And in the game of reselling, 85,000 a year is like nothing. Like, it's very little. So number one, it just shows your size. But number two is the fact that in order to really work well with wholesalers, you're going to be buying bigger lots. And what do we mean by bigger lots? Sure, you can buy like 2,000, 5,000 pounds, but if you can drop 20,000 pounds or onto a product, you're going to be able to negotiate much better pricing. And this is where you get the advantage of wholesale. The advantage is the fact that you can buy bigger, buy deeper, and go deeper. Now, if you're dropping 20,000 pounds on one product, for example, or maybe a few products, you're generally going to be VAT registered anyway. So it's kind of a bit of a guide for wholesalers to say, if you're not VAT registered, you're probably not going to be able to do it that well. I'm not saying you can't, but the chances of doing it a lot less. So my advice is, I'm not saying go get VAT registered. Why? Because OA under VAT registration is an incredible place to be, and there's so much opportunity there. But you might do OA up until VAT registration and then transition into a bit more wholesale. We certainly do that with my USA business. We do a blend of OA and wholesale, and it works really, really well. But I do think in the UK, don't rush to get VAT registered. There are so many advantages to being non-VAT registered that you are just able to outcompete bigger sellers because you have a lower tax base. So I hope that helps out. Ravi, let me know if that helps your answer. So hopefully that's my thoughts. Kyle, hey Kyle, thank you, cool. Mudawa, hope I got that right. Is it still a good idea to start on Amazon FBA? I always wanted to, but I didn't have the confidence. This is a great question. I love it. Okay, let me think about this one. Okay, so if you're asking the question, is it a good idea to get started on Amazon FBA? I will tell you the best time to get started on Amazon is probably about 10 years ago. The second best time to get started on Amazon is today. That's it. Why? Because in tomorrow and in a year's time, in 2 and 5 years' time, there are going to be more and more competition on Amazon. And yes, it's going to get competitive. But the one bit of advice I can ask you is to say, and everyone asks this is like, there's problems with the Amazon business model. I'm like, this is the biggest marketplace in the world. It's the easiest thing to start and anyone can do it. But not only that, forget that for a second. When you start selling on Amazon, you are going to learn skills. Those skills you can use in another business. So this one business you start today does not need to be the one business that solves all your problems for the rest of your life. This could be the first business that you start, and in 5 years' time, you then go on to start another e-commerce business or something else, but you use the skills you learned today. And for me and my business and businesses that I run, that is how I look at the whole equation. I'm not here to say that why isn't Amazon this amazing thing that will work forever? Because I know that in 100 years' time, Amazon probably won't be here. But what I do realize is that the skills that I learn will help me out in my life, and perhaps maybe another opportunity will come along that I'm now ready for, that I can really maximize. So if you're wondering to get started today, right now, just JFDI, just beep, do it, is what I recommend. That would be my advice. Let me know, does that help you out, Madawa? Facebook user, hi Tom, what do you do with damaged stock in the USA that you can't send back to Amazon? Interesting point. So in regards to damaged stock in the USA, and by the way, it's the same in the USA and things in the UK, returns that we can't deal with because I'm not in the country, we generally get them liquidated through A, our prep center, or B, there are services out there which will do prep fulfillment. And I would really recommend just asking the Facebook group. I'll probably drop a link to them. So like there are prep centers who specifically deal with returns to resell them, and then they take a fee. I think in the UK, when we used to do like 40%. 40% of the value of what's sold was given to the prep center, and then we got to keep the difference. Admittedly, you're probably going to be making 10% on the dollar, for example, or 10% on the pound, but like that's it. But like the other option is what? Destroy it, and that costs you money. So it's probably quite a good solution, but that's the way we operate. So I hope that helps. Lee, you're like, Lee, you can, like, Lee, I think you need to kind of put your entire question into one line. That'd be really, really helpful. Right now, you're kind of like doing, it's like, I've not signed up yet, been selling for almost 20 years, only online. Then I've got a few invoices, signed up as a seller, to Amazon, okay. it's like your comments are narrating me, but unfortunately, like I'm about 8 minutes behind, so I'm so far off you. So if you put them in one line, it just makes my life so much easier and I can answer. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm not really too sure if I can answer any of that because I don't really understand what's going on, but it's okay. Carla says, what are you doing to battle high competition and crashing listings? Okay, this is a really good question. Okay, so if you are facing right now a problem whereby your products are crashing, you need, or price crashing, you really need to go back and look at how you're finding them. So a couple of really key metrics or key things to consider. If you are doing storefront stalking, there is a very high likelihood they're going to crash. If you're generally doing lead services where it has a high number of people on it, it's probably going to crash. Number three, should we say, is the fact that when you found that lead that looks really good, if you can literally right mouse click the name and find it in Google at the right price that is profitable on Amazon, it's probably going to have a high likelihood it's going to crash. Now, if you need to right mouse click and then apply a voucher code and maybe get cash back or do something else, or it's from a supplier that no one knows about, basically the harder a product is to find, the less likely you are to be able, or less likely it is to crash, and the easier it is to find, the more likely it is to crash. So my top tip for you is if your prices are crashing right now, start thinking about looking at how you're sourcing. And in general, what you are looking for is products which are in demand, but they have very low supply. This means prices will always stay high and they're hard to find. That's going to be some key metrics. Now, if you have them, unfortunately, there's not really much you can do. You're probably going to have to like hold on to the price for a long period of time or like wait for it to sell out or get there. But if you're constantly on that rat race of like crashing prices, go back to your sourcing, change what you've been working on or how you've been sourcing and start mixing it up. I'm going to be talking next week. I'm going to be releasing a video called my top 100 supplier list, like how to do it. But there's a really good guide behind there that kind of helps talk about like how we look at analyzing suppliers. But I will kind of add to this as well. If you're a member of the Fast Track FBA VA Academy, about 2 weeks ago, I did a video. I did a live webinar of 11 steps to finding a niche. Literally, it's like breaking down step by step of how we focus on niches. And the reason why we focus on niches is this very specific problem in regards to finding deals or getting your VAs to find deals which aren't going to price crash. And we talk about exactly how we go through that step by step. Now, the one thing I will add on top of that is that in the Seller Academy, we're now taking that even further. We're now going to show you the exact kind of like step-by-step process that we use and even the sheets that we use where we can get our VAs to analyze 10,000 deals a day, which is like insane. But the idea is we're analyzing 10,000 deals which are out of stock majority of the time, and we already know what they are. We're just waiting for them to come back in stock. But once they do, my God, we buy super deep. And then number two is the fact that what we're doing is we're going to be holding our prices because we know you just can't get them. Again, supply and demand. If too many people can get it, the price will crash. But if you already know that there's massive supply problems, then you could be buying deeper. And if you can get one VA to check them, it changes the game. So that's my kind of advice for you. Right. Let's kind of jump through. So, Carlos, let me know if that answers your question down below. Adam Dar. Tom needs to hurry up. He's getting too slow. If I decide to sell on the USA market, but if I'm based in the UK, do I need to purchase items in the UK to sell in the USA? Okay, great question. By the way, if you want to sell in Amazon USA, you can sell from anywhere in the world or buy from anywhere in the world. But we always recommend buying from within the USA to sell on the USA. Why? Shipping times. Number two is the fact that you get the cash back and the credit cards. And number three, if you get things like our product authenticity complaints, it just becomes a lot easier to deal with because it's under Amazon's documentation, they say you need to prove the supplier comes from the same, like North American continent. So like they want to see supply chain from there. I'm not saying you can't do external suppliers, you can, but generally it's going to be the ones in the US. It's going to be a lot easier. Also as well, like I just want to make it a really simple business. If I can buy from the US and sell in the US, absolutely fine. And that's the way we work, and that's the way we operate within our business. And again, you can scale that, and it's so easy. So Adam, I hope that makes sense. Let's go and jump through. Sorry, Tom, last question. Did you answer my question? Yes, I did. Watch the replay. The replay will come up. Long story short, STK will be correct. The USS will be less likely to be correct because there are so many nuances within Amazon's pricing that it's very hard to do on a formulaic approach for a spreadsheet. Like we'd probably have to add another 20 tabs just to get the repricing on top. And then it would be a constant update. And by the way, if you've downloaded the sheet and then Amazon updates the pricing, we can't update your sheet. Like we're going to update the master, then you have to copy it all across. So depending on how old the sheet is, sometimes it has those problems. Hope that makes sense. The review guy, I'm about to go VAT registered. Should I drop my criteria or should I just keep the same one, pre-VAT, which is 30% ROI, and any advice going forward VAT reg? Okay, cool. Really great question. Okay, so if you're VAT, if you're about to go VAT registered, what are the top tips I can recommend for you? Number one, I would recommend changing your sourcing criteria right now on your calculator to VAT registered. And the reason why I say this is because you want to start buying products now which are still profitable once you change over. Number two, at the point of VAT registration, you want to make sure that you do a full inventory of your stock. Why? Because any stock you're holding at the point of registration, you can reclaim the VAT back from HMRC, the government. They'll give you that money back. Also, number three, make sure you get all the invoices for any services like Fast Track FBA that you've paid for up to 6 months before VAT registration, because you can also reclaim the VAT paid on that as well, which is really, really helpful. Now, going forward into like sourcing wise, generally what you're going to see is about an 8% reduction in profitability. That's what I've heard. I kind of use that number as well. I'm not saying specifically I know it for a fact, but my advice for you would be start sourcing now in the VAT registration figures. You talked about doing like 30%. Should I drop it down? I think for you, if start sourcing now, see what happens. Perhaps maybe drop it down to 25 and then go from there. You might want to look at things like VAT, 0% VAT items. It's okay, but generally speaking, like most people don't find them profitable enough to be worth it. There's still enough opportunity within the wider OA space, even for VAT registered, that should help you out. So yeah, that'd be my kind of advice. The review guy, let me know if that answers your question down below. Right, let's go through the next one. Pabs, hey Tom. Do I source from different suppliers? Great question. Okay, I could answer this question 1,000 different ways. Okay, so in regards to the question around sourcing, what do we do? Okay, so when you think about sourcing, there are a lot of different ways to approach it. Now, two ways that we've done, which are slightly different, and I'll explain both of them. One is a supplier-based approach. We have had a supplier in the USA who has been incredible. It's end-of-life products, and they can get them in stock sometimes. But what do? We literally are always checking that supplier. So everything they've got, we're always interested in, and we're always checking it, and we just buy. How much value? $10,000 a week. We're pretty much spending on that supplier. Really, really good. Loved it. ROI is anything from 40 up to 120%. Absolutely love it. But they are kind of like ones and twos, but they're quite high value items. So really, really happy with them. Now, so that's one supplier that we focus on. The other method we've done is whereby we focus on certain brands, and within those brands, we know which suppliers we can buy deep in, and they have cashback and credit cards, etc. So when we look at that, we're only really checking certain suppliers because we can buy deeper, they work, they get the stock we want, and we're always checking those products, those brands all the time, and we're only checking those suppliers for those brands. That's another way we do it. What we generally don't do, and what I completely advise against, is just randomly looking for anything, anywhere, seeing what's cheap, because you have no strategy, and you can't refine it and get better, and you're buying lots of different products, and generally those products will crash in price, which doesn't work. So I hope that helps, and I hope that answers your question. So we just source from the same product suppliers, but it might be like 5 or 10 at the same time that we can look through. And again, we can still spend 5 to 10 grand a week quite happily with one VA on that strategy. Hope that makes sense. What's your strategy in wholesale to compete against the seller price war? Buy better, like really, like it's not really a problem because we know the products we want to buy, we know the price we need to buy it at, and it's not really a price war. Like we have a product right now in wholesale that we're buying and we're selling at 20% ROI in the US, which isn't great, but it's unlimited. Like literally it's selling like 20 units a day. It's like, so yeah, I'm fine with that. And we are in a price war, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So we're not too worried about it. Like, yeah, like again, just you got to renegotiate your pricing strategy. Hope that helps. Memes by Wapada. Have you heard anyone having his credit card method payment being verified on USA over 5 days? I don't really understand what that means. Like we've had Amex credit cards verified by Amex many, many times. If you're talking about Amazon verifying it, like, yeah, sometimes they just take forever, especially when the whole new kind of like know your customer from USA, like got to fill out the form, that took weeks. Like just keep going, like keep waiting. But it does take a long time sometimes. Amazon aren't the fastest people in the world. Madawa. Also, how do you find the suppliers and the winning products? Madawa, next, download my top 100 supplier list, and next week I will be releasing a video about how to actually use that top 100 supplier list to, actually how to attack it and what to do with it. That's going to be the key important message, because that will just like here's a list and here's how you should the strategy and the tactics you should apply to that list. Wait like 1 week. It'll probably be next Thursday. I'll release that, I believe it is. It's in editing this week, so it'll go live next week. Hope that helps. But I could be here forever. I actually recorded all weekend I did it. What's the best category or supplier in the US marketplace? The best, Carl, sorry. You don't want to hear the answer that anyone's going to tell you. You want to find your own. Okay, let me tell you. Okay, so this is like a really good question. So if you're asking me what is the best category in the US marketplace, my answer would be is don't listen to what anyone is telling you. Why? Because if someone tells you something, it means they're telling everyone else it. And it's probably that category is going to start crashing. If we look at like toys in the UK, if we look at sneakers in the US, we've seen it time and time again. In addition to that, every category has, like, you can see the number of units in the category. The Keeper will tell you this, how many listings there are. So some of them are much bigger. Home and kitchen's a massive one. Watches is very small. But they're so disproportionately large relative to how much money you can invest that you can make money in every single category. But what you're looking at, the ones which are going to make you profitability. And that's what you're looking for. So my advice for you is do not look at the ones that everyone else is promoting. Find your own and then tell no one, because that is where the money is going to be. And if anyone asks you how well it's going, tell them it's okay. Don't even share any numbers. That's my advice, because then other people will try and look for the category and copy you. That's what I'm going to say. Now, the one thing I'll say, on top of that, one of the biggest sellers I know in the US, he does 200 million in the automotive category. I think he's the biggest automotive seller in the world, or the biggest Amazon seller, one of the top ones. Amazon Lit is grocery. They do 60 million nearly. There's so much opportunity, but I don't know about you, but I probably don't think you have 60 million to invest. So find a category which works for you. I know people who are doing some crazy stuff. It's so niche, but just don't do the ones that everyone tells you. That's my advice. Man, I've got to hurry up. I'm getting too slow. When using Amazon to Amazon selling strategy, will I have to undercut Amazon to win the buy box or share it with Amazon? Look at the Keeper chart. You're looking for, does Keeper share the buy box? If you're doing Amazon to Amazon and you're not reading the Keeper chart before you do it, I would be very worried. I'd want to see history of Amazon sharing that buy box. If you look at my Amazon training videos, you're looking at probably the advanced level one. I show you how to do that. There's 3: basic, advanced, and expert. Look at the advanced one. That will show you what you need to know. It's how to know if Amazon's sharing the buy box. That would be what I'd looking at before I make the purchase. That makes sense. Ravi, cool. Modua. Yes, the answer did help me. And a few months ago, I was keen on starting, but I just couldn't find the guides on how to exactly get started. I'm struggling to find the right suppliers of products. Go to my website, fasttrackfba.com, two things. Fasttrackfba.com, scroll right down to the very bottom. There's a free 7-day course. Sign up for that. It'll give you the top 100 supplier list. Problem solved. If you want help, you can go to my website, Top Seller. It costs $47 per month, and you can cancel at any time. And you get 2 calls a week with my team. They're group calls. They happen generally on a Wednesday. And you get 1 call a week with me, a group call. Not like this, but they're actually you're live in a chat. You can have a live call with me every single week, and I'm there to help answer. I do a lot of deal analysis with people, talking through different things. So that can help you out. And we give you the supplier list, and we help you out so much more. $47 per month, really, really simple. Top Seller program, check that out. I think you'll like it. Or if you want the free one, scroll down to the bottom of the website. You'll find it. Modua, how do you suggest starting? Best strategy to get into it? Just answered that one. JFDI, man. Just beep, do it. That's what I say. Nils, love it. When you do wholesale in the USA, are you just targeting high value items? Pardon me. So as a general rule of thumb, within my Amazon business, we focus on higher value items. It's not very challenging. I think our average unit price is about $60. So prep cost isn't such a big issue. And that's probably one of the reasons why, because prep costs are quite hard. When we look at wholesale, we are still looking at higher value items, but what you need to understand is that we don't go looking for wholesale. We do OA and we find products in OA that we really like that work for us. Then we go looking for wholesale for those products. We're not starting with wholesale. Wholesale is a way to replenish more. So we don't really look at the wholesale lists and do it that way. We've done it for a few and that's fine. But really it's like, this product sells well. Can we go find more? Cool, fantastic. That's the way we approach it. So we don't like, and again, because of that, we're not even looking at the low value items. We always look at the higher value items and the way we analyze it. So I hope that makes sense. Benajir, sorry. I started Amazon FBA 3 months ago. However, I've realized this is a money feeding machine. How do you grow with limited cash flow? Great question. You're right. You're basically using leverage, which is capital. It's a capital business, a capital intensive business. Trade is really intensive. So, couple of top tips, scaling with Amazon. What can I recommend? So if you want to scale with Amazon and money is an issue, number one, you need to make sure that you're utilizing all your existing inventory at the highest possible ROI. What does this mean? Well, you should probably at least be going over 40% ROI if you're struggling for cash, if not higher. We've certainly found deals at 50, 60, even up to 100% plus, and that should be my focus. Number two is the fact that I should be probably looking to get as much capital as possible. This can be personal sources, credit cards, personal loans, for example, even friends and family, that definitely works. Number two or number three can be business sources. So if you've got a business capital, for example, you can do things like Amex credit cards, Amex Plum in the US, for example, even Platinum. They're charge cards, credit cards, absolutely fine. With us in our business, we take a lot of our credit cards and we will actually churn them quite quickly. So if we have a £10,000 limit, for example, or dollar, we will use 10,000 on week one, pay it down, 10,000 week two, pay it down, 10,000 week three. And what we've seen is that we can increase the credit limit a lot quicker over the longer term. So we're always doing that. And then finally, the two final things that we're doing on top of that. Number one, we're always managing our Amazon inventory. So if you go to like Amazon, I think it's inventory planning, you can see it's like number of turns and it's over a 90-day period. You want to get that as high as possible. If you're like below 1.5 right now, your inventory is not moving quick enough. Ideally, you want to get it over 2. That's going to be a good area. And if you can get it above 3 or 4, wow, you're moving your stock really fast. This means you're turning your money faster. And then the final one I'd recommend is using our Amazon cash flow sheet we created, and you can find a YouTube video on it. And the reason why I say that is because this allows you to fully understand exactly how much money you've got coming in and out every single day and of the next 4 weeks. And it gives you an allowance to spend. It calculates how much you should spend to be safe. And we always spend up to that limit. Every single week, my admin VA will tell my purchasing manager exactly how much money they can spend this week. And then their job is, guess what? Spend the whole lot of it. That's the goal. So hope that makes sense. So Benjar, hope that answers. Crabs. This is going to be my last one. So if you haven't got your last questions in, do it really quickly. Pabs, you mentioned that storefront stalking is not great as leads will mostly always tank. How else would you advise me to find new brands I can niche down in? I'm going to say wait to my video next week. You will really like it. I'll give you a really quick summary, but you can do this if you can figure it out. It's quite simple. Number one, choose a category. Number two, find 5 brands in that category that have no Amazon, no brand selling listing, no IP complaints, and you can sell them. Number 3, go find suppliers selling that brands or those brands and keep sourcing them. And then find them and then just keep repeating that process for the profitable items. So I hope that makes sense. That's all we do. Like we just find the brands that work. And by the way, this is why I say, do not ask the question, what is the best category? Because when someone tells you, go do Nike in the sneaker section, which everyone does, guess what categories brands start crashing? Nike in the sneaker section or Nike in that. Like, I get it, it works, but like I don't think you should be doing it. That would be my advice. I think that there's so many other products you can do. Like, there's so much opportunity. Blockchain society. Hey Tom, just a quick question with Mercury. They want an address, but I can't use registered agent address. Yeah, absolutely fine. You can't use your registered agent address, but your registered agent, you should have bought a virtual mailing address and use that virtual mailing address. Yes, that's correct. So voila, hope that makes sense. Benjajar. Yes, thank you, Tom. Fantastic. Wow. Guys, did you enjoy that? I am all done for the day. Tom needs a coffee. He is feeling a bit, but if you enjoyed that, please, please, please let me know. Honestly, I hope you enjoyed it. Like I enjoy doing them. I hope you enjoy doing them. And if you do, give me a big thumbs up. And obviously just write, hey, Tom, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just that means you actually did. Otherwise, I'd be like, no one loves me. No. But hopefully you got some value, got some information. And hey, if you think it's really good, I'll tell you what, why don't you share the link onto social media and tag me and tell me what you liked about it? I'd love that. If anyone shares it on social media and tags me, like maybe the YouTube link or something, I'd absolutely love you as well. I'll reshare it as well. Maybe put it on an Instagram story. Absolutely love it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end it there. Have a great day. I shall see you same time next week. Bye.